Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Today is going to be a real quick video, and it's going to be another one that's somewhat geared to beginners, like yesterday's was. You know, it seems like I try to watch videos not even just for my own education out there, but I try to see what I think is missing out there. Or not necessarily missing, but what I'm having a harder time finding. I try to think like the beginner. I try to think of what kind of things, what kind of questions did I have back at those early stages, and just basically what's any kind of tips, tricks, information, whatever that can help you get over the cravings, addictions, problems that you're going to come across shifting to a new way of eating, new lifestyle. So I just thought I would do a quick one today. And this one is going to kind of suppose today that you're in the position of you are brand new, trying to switch from a SAD diet to raw vegan or even just high carb vegan. I'm going to kind of assume that you're not the worst of the worst when it comes to standard American diet, that you're not eating like, but then again you might. So you'll have to take this, you will have to take this advice or tips with a grain of salt and factor it in like where you are. Now where I am, it might be a little bit tougher in this part of the country because people can sometimes eat meat 3 times a day here. Now if you're in 3 times a day meat eating, you know, you might not be able to move as fast as somebody that say eats meat 3, 4, even 5 times a week. So my first little bit of advice would be, you know, it's always kind of cool, like, and a lot of people haven't even heard of vegan, they've heard of vegetarian. It always seems to be about getting rid of the meat. I actually say focus on getting the dairy out as quick as possible. I would even say if there was a choice, get rid of the dairy 100% before you get rid of the meat 100%, because the dairy is just, the dairy is mucus forming. It makes worse, it leads to, and I think it aggravates conditions like allergies, sinus infections, ear infections. It's been linked to prostate cancer. What else? It just leaves a slimy trail through your body. And actually they're finding now that the calcium in milk is probably the animal protein sources of milk, that is not doing your bones any good either. In fact, I actually wrote this down because this kind of surprised me when I was looking into this. Countries with the lowest rates of dairy and calcium consumption, i.e. usually Africa and Asia, have the lowest rates of osteoporosis. So, just tip number 1, I would say, get the dairy out of your diet. Okay, because and to help you do that, if you've got to have that milk, if you're like a milk junkie, whether, you know, or just basically use almond milk, use coconut milk, even use soy milk. I'm not a big fan of soy for myself, but I've been drinking, and I don't drink a lot of the milks anyway. I do make some coconut milk every once in a while down in Costa Rica, and I drink almond milk here just on my trips here, just it's kind of a treat. But yeah, in the beginning, if that's what you need to do to get off the dairy, drink almond milk. Now, I didn't have any problem with the cheeses. Some people swear that that's one of the hard addictions to get off of. Don't let this addiction thing get into your head. Now, I'm not going to sit here and debate or start the subject of whether food addiction is real or not, but I do think it's overplayed a little bit, and I think people hear this talk of food addiction and emotional eating, and it gets in their heads. Now, some people may have it, but I don't think there's large numbers of people that just can't keep their hands off certain kind of food. If you absolutely can't stop cheese, cold turkey, try to look into the nut cheeses. There's some nut cheeses out there, and I've never eaten a nut cheese in my life. I just haven't been around them. So yeah, but if you've got to do that, do it. But get off the dairy. Get off the dairy as soon as possible. If you can, I think it would be easy pretty much, unless you're just a milk cheese junkie, to stop the dairy cold turkey from the beginning. Use dairy substitutes on that. The meat, unless, like I say, you're a southerner like where I'm from and you're eating meat, you know, every meal, I would say realistically you could go from where you are to eating meat maybe 3 times a week. You might be able to even do it two or maybe even just 1 time a week, because I think a lot of that's going to be psychological too. Now if you can, drop all the meat altogether. I mean, I want people to get to being vegan as soon as possible, but also I want it to stick. I want it to be a long-term thing. I don't want you just to quit meat and dairy for a while and but not be able to sustain that. So wherever you're at, maybe that's the first shot. You give up the dairy and you have the meat down to 2 or 3 times a week. Now, the number of times, basically what it's going to be is that's going to be a little safety valve for your psyche there, because you're not dealing with, oh my God, I'm never going to eat meat again. And it might be your little island, you know, island in the big sea in the beginning, to just know that there's an end of the tunnel, that you will eat meat a couple or 3 times a week. But, you know, if you can, try to start, you know, go no dairy, go down to 3 times a week, and try to reduce the meat as soon as possible. Eat another beginner tip I would throw in there is go with nothing but fruit up until noon. Do whatever you got to do to stay on just fruit up until noon. Eat a ton of it when you first get going in the morning. Eat it mid-morning. Eat constantly fruit up to noon if that's what you have to do, but stay on the fruit up until noon. That's all. I'm going to stop today, because I think if you can do those 3 things, if you're new to this lifestyle, you're learning as you go, you're getting a little stronger every day, that's enough homework right there. Stop the dairy, cut the meat down to as low as possible, psychologically, that keeps you satisfied, that doesn't make you freak out, and eat nothing but fruit up until noon. If you start finding that you have a hard time with just fruit up until noon, make yourself some green smoothies. Make yourself a big green smoothie with 4 or 5 bananas at least, a whole bunch of greens dumped in there, and if you can get some chia seeds, get some chia seeds, because that's going to satiate, keep your stomach full. Anyhow, I'm going to do more of these little quick ones with just some quick tips from time to time. Let me know if these are beneficial. If you like this one, give me a thumbs up. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel. If you're already doing this lifestyle, or probably a lot of my regular watchers, this might be a little basic for you, but if you think it's worthy, and if you think it might be something that would speak to somebody that is just coming to this lifestyle, share it, so we can help as many beginners to this new way of living, new way of eating, new way of thriving as possible. Anyhow, you guys have a great day, and I will see you again tomorrow. Peace.